Today on our 2015 Chevrolet Colorado, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the CURT Class 3 Custom Fit Trailer Hitch Receiver, part number C13203. So here's what our hitch looks like fully installed on our truck. The cross tube is going to be nicely tucked up right underneath the bumper, and we're mainly only going to see the receiver tube and part of the support. Now this is a Class 3 hitch, so we're going to get that 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube opening. And it does have a nice reinforced collar, giving it added strength and a nice clean look. Now our hitch is going to use a standard 5/8 pin and clip. It's not included, but you can pick one up on our website using part number PC3. Now as far as the safety chain loops go, it's going to be a plate style welded underneath on each side of our receiver tube. And as you can see, we're not going to have any issues getting most size hooks on or off. Now our hitch is going to feature a 900-pound tongue weight and a 6,000-pound gross trailer weight rating. Now it is rated for use with weight distribution systems, and our tongue weight is going to stay at 900, but our gross trailer weight rating is going to jump up to 8,000 pounds. Now, I do want to mention you always want to double check with your vehicle's owner's manual to make sure that your truck can handle that amount of weight. Now I'd like to give you a few measurements to help you in deciding for accessories for your new hitch. From the center of the hitch pinhole to the outermost edge of the bumper is 3.5 inches. Now from the ground to the inside top edge of the receiver tube opening is 18.5 inches. Now I do want to mention the safety chain loops do sit below that, so our ground clearance from the ground to the bottom of the lowest point at the safety chain loops is going to be 13.25 inches. Now that we've gone over some of the features, let's show you how we get it installed. To begin our installation, I already went ahead and removed our spare tire, that way we have a little bit more room. Now if we come underneath right where our spare tire mounts, right in front of the cable, we're going to have 2 bolts for our spare tire support. We're going to need to remove those 2 bolts. I'm going to be using a 13mm socket. Now if we come to the other end towards the rear of the vehicle, we're also going to have 2 more bolts holding that bracket on. And again, I'm going to be using a 13mm socket. Now if we come right to where our tailpipe comes out on the side, if we go directly up, we're going to see 2 bolts that are holding on our support, and our hitch is going to be replacing this support. So we're going to need to remove these 2 bolts, and I'm going to be using a 21mm socket. Now if the bolts won't come loose with an impact, you may need to break them loose with a breaker bar. So we'll get them started by breaking them loose, and then we can come back with an impact to take them out the rest of the way. Now we're going to repeat that for the other bolt back here, as well as the 2 on the other side. Now on the side of our frame, if we go directly up from the bolts we just removed, we're going to have 2 more bolts. Now these 2, we are going to have to remove them, and I'm still going to be using a 21mm socket. But what I suggest is you remove 1 bolt on each side, and then get an extra set of hands, because the bumper, as well as this bumper beam and support, is going to come down once we have all 4 bolts removed. Now we can go to the other side and remove 1 bolt from the other side. Now before I remove my final bolts on each side of my bumper here, I'm going to be taking a strap and I'm going to hook it one end farther down, and then I'm going to hook my bumper. That way there's just a little bit of tension pulling on it, so when we release the bolts, it won't come falling down. And we're going to put one of these straps on both sides, and then we can get ready to take those bolts out. Now on top of the straps to hold my bumper pulling forward, I'm also going to put some supports underneath each corner, that way it doesn't fall down either. Now if you don't have a pole jack, you can just use a regular floor jack or whatever you have to support your bumper from falling off. We can go ahead and start removing the final bolts holding our bumper and bumper support in place. And I do recommend, before you get any of them fully out, you grab an extra set of hands. That way you're ready when you take that bolt out. Now with an extra set of hands, we can go ahead and remove the last bolts holding our bumper beam and bumper in place. And we can lower down our bumper beam. On the driver's side here, we are going to have a wiring harness. So you want to make sure you get a flathead screwdriver and you can pop it out of the frame there. Make sure our wire harness is out of the way, and we can pull this down. We can go ahead and put our bumper bolts on the side back in place. And we're just going to have them in there hand tight, just so we don't have to worry about the bumper falling down. Now before we get ready to install our hitch, we're going to come to our beam that we removed, and we're going to have 2 U-nuts that we're going to need to remove. Now I'm just going to take a flathead screwdriver. You can use pretty much whatever you have available, and I'm just going to pop them off. Now we're going to be transferring those U-nuts to our spare tire support. Now the only thing I want to mention is that when it's in this position with the arch going up, you want the threaded part to be going up as well. So we can just take it and we're going to slide it over the mounting holes just like that. Now with an extra set of hands, we're going to put our hitch into place. Now we're going to take the factory bolts that we removed and we're going to use those to mount our hitch. Now right now I'm just going to get them in there hand tight, just enough so it'll support the hitch and I don't have to worry about it falling. And then I'll get the rest of my hardware in place. Now I'm going to come back with the 21mm socket and I'm going to snug up all my hardware, including my bumper bolts on the side. Now we're going to repeat that for all the remaining hardware. With everything snug, I'm going to come back with a 21mm socket. I'm going to torque it down to the specified amount in the instructions. And we're going to repeat that for all our remaining hardware. We can go ahead and remove the jack stands and the straps now since everything's nice and tight. We can take our spare tire support and the end with our U-nuts on it. We're going to go right on top of our hitch like that. And we're going to line up the holes in the back. Then we can put our hardware in place. I can come back using a 13mm socket and snug up all my bolts. Now all we have left to do is put our spare tire back. And that'll finish up our look at the CURT Class 3 Custom Fit Trailer Hitch Receiver, part number C13203 on our 2015 Chevrolet Colorado.
Click the link below to shop, learn more, or visit us at etrailer.com.